to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf. I'm here today, as per usual, with co-host Dustin Jackson. How's it going?
It's going great. I didn't think of a joke this week.
Yeah, you know, I think it's about 50% of the time where the joke is about the episode. And then the other 50% of the time is a joke about how the joke is usually about the episode, but is not this time. And I like that. I like that freedom that you've invited to this podcast. It could be one or the other, and it's who's to say?
I like to mix it up. Yeah, as soon as you said, welcome to Telling the Tale, I'm Mitchell Farley Wolf, my eyes went wide and I said, oh my god, I don't have anything funny to say.
Let's hope it lasts. Today we're going to be talking
see.
about The Wolf Among Us, Episode 2, Smoke and Mirrors, released February 4th, 2014. Can you believe we're in 2014?
Wow. The future, huh?
Notably, 4 months after Episode 1.
Wow, that's a big gap.
Yeah, and I looked through the future of this series, and there's 1 month, there's one gap between episodes where it's 1 month, but all the other ones are 2 months, or this one, which is 4. So I think we're starting to see kind of one of those things that would eventually lead to the end of Telltale, which is struggles with this episodic formula and development of episodic material.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, I do... Like, if I just think about it, I'm like, oh, that's cool that they give them more time to, focus on these episodes, give these episodes a little more time in the oven. But yeah, when you say it like that, it's not so good.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very complicated set of feelings on delays, on video game delays. Mm-hmm. I think that as a society, or as a video game playing public, I can say, because we're not society, we've maybe given delays too much credit. Like it used to, people used to just be angry about them, but now I think we've swung too far in the other direction of like saying they're always good. I don't think that's true. Especially in cases where there's crunch, delays do provably nothing to help crunch. It's just more time that you're crunching. It's worse.
It's just
even.
more crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're working 12-hour days to get ready for a March release, and then if it's pushed to April, you don't get shorter days. You get one
ready
more
for another month
of 12-hour days.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it's contextual. Sometimes delays work out, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, this is a very tangent at this point, but it's why I had such weird feelings when people were saying it's too fast for another Pokemon game, because there was there was Legends Arceus earlier this year, and there's Scarlet and Violet later this year. Mm-hmm. And I agree that it can be too fast for us, like the players of games, maybe. It isn't too fast for development, though. And I don't think we should be wanting delays just to get rid of crunch, because that never works. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
You heard it here first, everybody.
You can do a delay to prevent crunch if you don't already have it. And you're looking at, if we have 2 more months, we won't have to start crunching. But if you've already started crunching, you're not going to stop.
Yeah, it's not really a black and white issue where crunch is always bad or always good. It really just depends on... Or did I say crunch is not always bad or good? Crunch is bad. What I meant is delays aren't always bad or good.
Right.
Because it just depends on the project, really. That is an interesting point.
So let's give credits where they are due. This episode was directed by Jason Latino, designed by Penny Kaufman, Casillas, and Lopresti. By the way, there is a Lopresti, there's a Lopresto antacid on the table in the business district, or the business office in this episode, and I believe that Lopresto antacid is a joke on one of the designers of the game, Lopresti.
Nothing up my sleeve. Lopresto.
Written by Grossman, Hines, and Martinez. And I thought Grossman was out by 2014.
I did too.
I think maybe
I was
he
surprised
is,
about
and
that.
he's like maybe a freelancer or something.
Maybe, I think he mentioned something about that in like one of the recent Return to Monkey Island interviews, how he wasn't really, he was kind of more just letting other people do their thing, but he would pitch in with like some story stuff here and there.
Yeah, well, he got a writer's credit. He got the top billed writer's credit, actually.
Wow.
For episode 2, Smoke and Mirrors. So, we'll jump into the episode, but there was news this week that we should talk about first.
Oh, shit, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, so Dustin, when I started this podcast with you, the thought was that it's a very contained subject matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we don't have to worry about getting the rug pulled out from under us because there just were 140 Telltale games. There aren't more Telltale games. There can't be.
So much for that, huh?
Yeah, and in a way it's true. There never will be any more Telltale games from that company known as Telltale, because that company has dispersed and died off. But there's a new company called Telltale, and also series that Telltale has covered are getting very Telltale flavored, sometimes with direct people from Telltale, new games in those series.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we knew about The Wolf Among Us 2 when we started the podcast.
Yeah.
And we knew...
At the time, that was like the only one coming, I think.
Well, yeah, there was that, and there was Sam & Max, This Time It's Virtual.
Yeah.
So between those two things, one of them is a VR game, and we kind of figured, like, well, it's another Sam & Max game, but it's not, like, related to Telltale, and it doesn't seem to have Telltale Sam & Max, like, carryover, so it can basically just be considered something we don't have to cover, and also we don't have VR headsets, so we just can't. I mean, I want to get one soon.
If we had VR, I'd be all for doing a This Time It's Virtual episode.
Yeah, now that I own my fancy pants PlayStation 5, when PSVR 2 comes out, I might go for that. It'll be my first headset I own. It'll be my first VR headset.
Yeah, I've never owned one, and I don't think I will. My roommate, our good friend Adam, owns a PS5, so if he got one, then that would be great. But I don't know how likely it is.
Yeah, I want to play Sam & Max, although I don't think that came out on PSVR, so it would also have to be like ported.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But I want to play Sam & Max. I want to play Astrobot Rescue Team. And I want to play Half-Life Alyx. Only one of those three was ever on PSVR, so maybe I should think about other VR solutions.
You've been on a real Astrobot kick.
Well, I played one game.
Yeah, but you liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did like it a lot. The pack-in game Astro's Playroom for the PS5 is the best pack-in game of all time.
I should play it. We have it.
Yeah, you really should.
Maybe I will next. Maybe I will after I've been playing Secret of Monkey Island. Maybe after that I'll play that.
Yeah, you can platinum it in a day.
Wow, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you should. You could do it in 2 days, and it's probably a little more comfortable. But yeah. So the news that we didn't talk about, that we broke into this tangent to talk about, was that Gearbox has announced a new... This is all they've said about it so far. It's a new Tales from the Borderlands.
What?
Which was a Telltale game. It was a game written and designed by Telltale Games for the Borderlands series. And unlike a lot of what Telltale has done, like they carve out other pockets in the canon and stuff like that of the series they have. Mm-hmm. This one seemed to be very near and dear to regular Borderlands canon. a lot of characters introduced in Tales from the Borderlands were in Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
So they came back and they're just like fully part of the universe. And Gearbox has sort of doubled down on this by saying that they are going to be developing the new Tales from the Borderlands game. So the question is, and this applies to more than a few games now, should we cover it as a telling the tale thing? Like, obviously we can talk about it. We're talking about it right now. But really, should we cover it?
So, when you asked me this earlier in the week, my first instinct was to say, no, it feels a little too far removed. But then I started thinking, like, what if, like, Skunk Ape made a Sam & Max Season 4? Like, they're not Telltale, but obviously I would still think we would want to cover that, so what makes this any different?
Yeah, and I think there's probably a mental block there where I think of Skunk Ape just as part of Telltale because it is made of Telltale people. Where Gearbox is not made of Telltale people. But they are continuing Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah. But the part that I thought made it kind of a step too far is you told me that they would be focusing on like a brand new cast. So I felt like that was enough of a disconnect to be like, all right, well, there's that. It's not made by Telltale, so both of those makes me think we probably shouldn't talk about. But I don't know. What if it comes out and it does have some characters from it? What if it's just directly following? What if it follows up on stuff from Tales from the Borderlands? Like, that's still a connection that makes it something we could talk about and cover.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a very... It was surprising to me because I saw... Did you see the announcement, the stage announcement that the guy did, or did you just see like news?
Mm-mm.
So it was it was on stage, and he basically says in these exact words, "We're making a new Tales from the Borderlands," which is a weird way to say that. You'd either say a sequel or an interpretation of or another episodic adventure game or something like that. What he said was a new Tales from the Borderlands, which is the name of the Telltale game, which makes me think like it's not just another part of the Borderlands canon that happens to be this kind of like choose your own narrative adventure game. It's another Tales from the Borderlands. That's weird.
Yeah. I guess where I'm at right now is I'm open to covering it, but I kind of want to wait and see exactly like what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I think that is where we're going to land because it's just not developed by Telltale or, as far as we know, former Telltale people. That said, former Telltale people is kind of something that every video game studio in America has now because they win everywhere. So I would not be surprised if Gearbox had very prominent developers from that actual game, Tales from the Borderlands, that are now full Gearbox employees that are working on this. And whether that's sort of like, oh, you happen to what a coincidence, or if that's like, yeah, there's DNA that carried over, I guess we will never know, because that kind of thing is hard to figure out, especially before the game comes out. But yeah, now there's 5 games that are in this weird gray area. Tales from the Borderlands, we'll call it 2. The Wolf Among Us 2, The Expanse, Sam & Max, this time it's virtual, and Return to Monkey Island. And I think that we decided a while ago that The Wolf Among Us 2 and The Expanse would get the full regular treatment because a company currently using the name Telltale and including a lot of employees from original Telltale are making them.
Yeah, I think that's enough of a connection, especially since one of them is a direct sequel, to cover those.
Yeah. with Dave Grossman working on Return to Monkey Island as well, though, like, that feels pretty strong. That's a direct sort of like... The thing with Monkey Island is that Telltale didn't make their own Monkey Island game. They made the 5th Monkey Island game of the mainline series. So...
Mm-hmm. One thing to keep in mind is that Return to Monkey Island, at this point, seems to at least take place before Tales of Monkey Island. So it doesn't necessarily feel connected to it, but, Grossman's there.
Yeah.
It is still part of the same series. And I'll throw this out there. Return to Monkey Island is a game that feels like we shouldn't cover it for those reasons. But that's one I would be 100% down for.
Yeah, so
especially since it's just one game.
Here's a flip side to it.
Yeah.
We're both definitely going to play it when it comes out.
Yes.
And we have a podcast together.
So
why
as well
wouldn't
just
we?
Talk about it.
Like, if
exactly.
it is tangentially related, which it is, then like doing one episode and I can number it like X01 rather than... Because I number all the episodes based on how many episodes of games we've got up to by that point.
Right.
So I can call this like a side episode, X01. Maybe I can do that for everything, including Wolf 2 and Expanse, that is not in the original 140 games that we signed on to do.
I like that idea. I'm down for that.
Yeah, so I guess that's where we are. Sam and Max, this time it's virtual. I don't know, man. I'll find a headset at some point. The weird thing about these is that while Wolf 2 and The Expanse have kind of been these, like, lumbering processes of finding more information slowly over time and then finally finding out, like, okay, it was announced in, like, 2019, but now it's 2023 that it's going to come out.
Yeah.
Very much the other hand, we just found out about new Tales from the Borderlands and Return to Monkey Island, and they're this year.
Yeah. The Tales from the Borderlands one seems very... They must have been working on that for a while, I would assume.
They said in that stage presentation, like, a few years.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Which is that is even a little surprising to me, because this is the kind of game that I don't imagine a big ramp up for, but maybe I've never worked on a game like that, and maybe I'm completely off base. It could be like 3-4 years.
Yeah, that's strange to me, since, like, The Wolf Among Us 2 was announced so many years ago, but at the same time, you just get Borderlands just announced for this year, and that's a bigger series. That's like a big series that people know. That seems like one that you would announce like a while back and really get people hyped up for. I mean, I'm kind of glad they didn't. It's better to just announce it when it's sooner than be waiting years and years.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to think about that this other one, Wolf Among Us 2, is the one that we've just been waiting so long on.
There's also the fact that a Borderlands game just came out. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a Borderlands universe game. Tiny Tina is, I suppose, a beloved character from the Borderlands franchise.
Yeah, possibly.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, I think we should put our cards on the table here that our ability to discover whether or not this is worth covering is a little bit hampered by the fact that we don't know anything about Borderlands.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. Neither of us have played a single Borderlands game ever. I don't like what I think the humor is in Borderlands. I was kind of put off by it.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
From the trailers and stuff, I've seen a lot of, well, that just happened, kind of.
Oh my god, you know that's my, like, least favorite thing ever to hear in anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't say I'm excited about jumping headfirst into the Borderlands world, but I know a lot of people do love it, and it is a...
I hear Tales from the Borderlands is really good. Like, I hear it's considered one of Telltale's best.
It is Telltale writers, so, that part of it is probably cleaner.
Better. Yeah.
So, let's stop talking about that. And let's start talking about The Wolf Among Us Episode 2, not 2 itself, Smoke and Mirrors. This episode picks up with Bigby Wolf being interrogated by the cops for being in the area where Snow White's decapitated head was found.
That... Is it me, or does that seem weird? Like, he had an alibi, and he just kind of walked in. But I guess, that's the point, questioning him, seeing where he was.
Well, he
was with Snow all day.
He had an alibi, sort of.
Yeah.
Because he was doing Fable stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like, he was doing his job as the sheriff of Fabletown. He can't tell the police what his job is. He can't tell them what he was doing.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, because these are real world police that found
Mm-hmm.
a severed head in Fabletown. They don't know where they are. I thought there was some very interesting language that I think was from this episode, describing why normies, or they're called Mundies, which is short for mundane.
They're called muggles. Yeah.
Mundies. Why Mundies can't find Fabletown. And they say, like, there's this charm cast over it that doesn't make it inaccessible or like any other place, but every person that sort of walk bys has their senses dulled and they go into a deep thought.
Yeah, they're like, huh.
So they're just, like, not paying attention to the stuff around them. Or if they're, like, picking a way to go, they're magically recommended to go the other way. That takes them away from the town. So it's nothing that, like, actually prevents someone from seeing some weird stuff, but it's a lot that just kind of eggs them on to not paying attention.
Yeah, that I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why, like, if you're a Fable who can't afford glamour, like Mr. Toad, you can hang out inside, and you don't need to, like, hide in a closet or anything. You could even be in front of a window. But if you're standing outside, that might be too much.
Yeah, since you're easily visible to these Mundies.
Interesting. I like the rules of this universe a lot. They're fun.
Yeah, it really makes it feel well thought out. I'm sure a lot of that comes from the comic all being an already established world. But it really does a good job of filling you in on what those rules are for someone who hasn't read the comics.
So to very quickly go through some of these plot points, Ichabod Crane shows up in the police station, and he casts a spell on all the police people interrogating Bigby to be knocked out and to forget what they were doing for the last 24 hours. And he did this in an effort to, like, say, like, well, this is a Fable crime. We're just going to take all of it, and we're going to make you forget all of it that happened. So we're going to take care of this on our own turf. Then there's this scene in the car when Ichabod Crane is, like, driving Bigby home, and it feels very, like, whenever they're in a car in this game, it feels like they're children almost. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no,
their parents are driving them around. Like, I noticed it in the first episode when Snow and Bigby were in the backseat of a taxi, and it felt like, I don't know, you don't see that very often, where, like, someone's driving the main character around. The main character is, like, generally supposed to be a high ability, high agency kind of person in this universe, so they would be the driver. But I think there's just something cinematography wise rare about seeing big macho characters just in the backseat of a car and at the whim of having to have someone else drive him around.
That's true. I can see where you're coming from on that.
Like, when Ichabod drives Bigby home,
yeah,
it feels like he's his dad taking him home from, like, a soccer practice.
They're gonna go get McDonald's.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're gonna get McDonald's. They don't.
They should have. That would have been great.
It would be like a leprechaun that serves them because Fable stuff.
That would be so. Now I'm sad that didn't happen. But I do like this scene in the car. You know.
Yeah, me too.
Ichabod is so off-putting in the first episode. You know, they really build him up to be this just piece of shit. So I thought it was nice seeing him and Bigby kind of bond over this loss they're both feeling.
Yeah, I always kind of take a little while with mean characters or bad flavored characters to find out if they're like, are you a jerk or an ass or a prick? And they're all different kinds of things. And Ichabod Crane in that first episode, it could be anything because he's like entirely dislikable. There's no aspect of him that they've shown to like. But in this episode, it's clear that he was like really sad about Snow. That he had some sort of affection for Snow. That well, I mean, we'll talk about the end of the episode. And
he doesn't like. He's made it clear that he does not really care for Bigby. So it's nice to see him just kind of, on the same level as him in the car, like both just conversing about this thing they're both feeling at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose to be mean, but I had Bigby kind of appreciate it because I appreciated it.
I didn't. I
really? Okay.
Yeah. They give you a choice to accuse Crane of not actually having cared about Snow while she was alive, and that his sadness now feels performative. And I thought that was true to what I thought, so I did that.
Okay. See, I believed him. He felt a little more like believably sad to me.
Well, based on the end of this episode, you were wrong to feel that way.
That's very true.
Sometimes it's not up to interpretation.
It was a gamble that didn't pay off.
But yeah, I really liked the ability to just not have to go through this, because I thought it was a very realistic thing where, like, there is an out to this conversation. Like, I just don't believe you. There's so many times in mystery games where you just want to be like, I just think this one thing, and I don't have a mechanic to make my character think the thing, even though I think I might be right. So that the ability to just say, like, Crane, dude, I don't believe you at all. You weren't nice to her in life, and you can't just say that now. I appreciated the option, and it was cool. And Crane's reaction, if you say that, is not entirely defensive, which was cool too. Crane was like, yeah, well, I guess you would think that, but no, there's more to me. And not just saying, no, you're wrong. He's like, I thought
he gets
we were
why
all...
you would think that about him.
Yeah, like, I thought that we were sort of all on the same wavelength here, and now you're saying that there was, like, genuine dislike between me and Snow, and that's not how I saw things at all. And it was a weirdly healthy relationship, until Crane eventually does get angry that you said that, and then drops you off at the precinct, where you have to go interrogate whoever you arrested in the last episode.
So you arrested the woodsman,
yeah,
right? And I did Tweedledee.
How'd that go for you?
Not great.
Okay.
So you go down and start interrogating him. Bluebeard is there too. Bluebeard was he there for you? Was he handling the woodsman while you weren't there? Yeah, that's how it was for me too. So Bigby kind of starts questioning him. He's like, look, maybe you did it, maybe you didn't. You were there, so I guess you couldn't have possibly done it. But you're working for someone. Who are you working for? And he's just like the most uncooperative.
Mm-hmm. yeah. The woodsman is like in this. He's also very uncooperative, but in this case, he's like almost out of it. He's like singing a song to himself instead of answering the questions.
So he's uncooperative, but not in a way where it feels like malice. He's not like "fuck you, Bigby." He's more out of it. You said,
Yeah, he's like, oh, I can't tell you the thing that I did.
I can't tell you.
That's not how he talks, but
that's so good.
I can't tell you, Bigby.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so Tweedledee is not like that. He's just actively choosing to be like, yeah, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I can't tell you. And Bigby's like, what about your brother? Where was your brother at the time of this? And he's like, look, I'm not going to sell out my own brother. Fuck you. So I made Bigby lose his temper.
Yeah, I also made Bigby lose his temper there.
Yeah. So what did you do? How did it play out for you?
So they give you a lot of... the woodsman at one point asks for his cigarettes, and then I had Bigby smoke a cigarette. They've so far given me an opportunity to do this exact kind of thing once per episode, and I really like it. In the first episode, it was giving Colin a drink, except you just make yourself a drink and then you drink it.
And you're like, ooh, whoops, sorry.
I will do that every time it gives me the option to do that. So the woodsman says, I just want my cigarettes. So you grab the cigarettes and you drink a cigarette. You just smoke it on down.
You just drank you drink the whole pack. Mm-mm. Yeah, so what I did was similar. Tweedledee had a cigar, not necessarily smokes. But I didn't choose to smoke the cigar. I mean, I did smoke the cigar, but I burned his hand with the cigar.
Oh, yeah, no, I had an option for that. I didn't do that. But
I did, because I figured at this point, Bigby would be like, look, my friend is dead, and I'm not fucking around here, and you're not talking. I'm going to burn your dumb Tweedle hand.
Tweedle hand is the third brother.
Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and Tweedlehand.
Yeah, so
this would bite me in the ass later.
Interesting. I at the end of the episode, they give you all your choices, and the way they define this is you do or you do not persuade the prisoner to talk. Mm-hmm. Did you get your prisoner to talk?
Let me double check. I thought I did. Yes.
Yeah, I did too. But the thing they talk about seems to be different depending on which prisoner it is.
Oh, interesting.
Because what I learned was very woodsman centric. So what I learned, and maybe you also learned this through Tweedledee somehow, at this junction was that the woodsman kept saying she wasn't supposed to be there. And so Bigby says, like, okay, so Snow wasn't supposed to be there. Who was supposed to be there? And or where was Snow supposed to be? And then after getting a little roughed up, the woodsman says, no, I wasn't talking about Snow. That's not the she I meant. She wasn't supposed to be there. And it turns out that the woodsman was sleeping with Holly the troll from the first episode's sister.
The one who went missing?
Yeah.
The woodsman was sleeping.
The woodsman was sleeping with her. Lily is her name.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't get that.
So Lily had become a prostitute after emigrating from the homelands into Fabletown. And yeah, like that's why she was going to like that's the person on the night of when Faith died that the woodsman actually wanted to see. But then Faith came instead and he got mad about it. Like he was just sort of drunk and mad about it.
You find out about that, like you see a note later on in the episode asking her to take her shift.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's exactly what you find out a little bit earlier and a little more details here from the woodsman. So he was like, Snow shouldn't have died. I don't even really know Snow White that well. It wasn't supposed to be, like, people were supposed to be in other places. And then you find out that, like, what he's saying supposed to be there has nothing to do with the murder of Snow, and has everything to do with just that first night when Bigby showed up and started beating him up. Faith was not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Lily.
Right. Okay.
And then, while in the middle of that, while you find that out... Well, no, before that, you tell me what you find out from Tweedledee. Like, what is he... When he talks, what does he talk about?
You're gonna hate me, but I totally forgot.
This seems
but I
like
think it was.
big
I think it was.
Dustin.
I know, but I was distracted. I was so just surprised by what happened next, I guess, that I just totally forgot.
Well, I would not be surprised if, in keeping with like what the Woodsman talks about, it's not that important.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think it just came down to, look, we were just looking for somebody. We're on the same team here. You don't want to have us here.
So the Tweedles at in the first... So I barely got anything from the Tweedles in this episode. Like, I really didn't get any new information about them.
Yeah, the Woodsman wasn't in my episode at all.
So, here's what I know or don't know about the Tweedles that maybe you can help fill me in from the first episode. Tweedledee said he was hired as like a private eye journalist sort of guy to look into this case. But he won't tell you who hired him. He won't tell you if he's really a private eye. And he seems like he's not. Not actually a private eye. So from your perspective, were you more convinced that he is actually a private eye?
Kinda. I do kind of feel like he's on the up and up here. He's just, in a lot of suspicious places.
Okay.
He was in the closet of the prince in the first episode. So, one thing to also keep in mind is only Tweedledee is there. Tweedledum is still out there.
He's living his best life, just driving around.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to tell you where he is. He's like, we got that brotherly bond.
Why would he? Yeah, he's not involved.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe he is. I mean, we don't know yet.
That would be the trick.
That seems like the thing Big B is mostly concerned about, because his questioning was, look, you're here. I know you didn't do it, but what about that silly little brother of yours, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I did get a line I thought was funny.
Okay.
It's not like that funny, but it made me, have a chuckle. Because some of the things that Tweedledee had was the cigar, and he had like a big wad of money. And Bigby's like, you always carry this much cash? He says, yeah, I had a lot of laundry to do this week.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's just...
And I was like, all right, that checks out.
Yeah, I mean, laundry can be expensive.
You have this big wad of
Have you seen gas
money?
prices?
Jeez, no need to tell me.
Yeah. So while you're doing this interrogation with whoever you're doing it with, Snow White walks in the room. She's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
Don't
fine.
worry about it. How did you feel about this twist?
So I guess it would not be fair for me to say that I saw it coming, because we didn't talk about it last episode, right? If I actually saw it coming, I should have said something last episode when we were doing it. But I did feel like I kind of
felt like there had to be a little more to it.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel that Snow White was completely dead. For one, like she just seemed
too major a character.
It's just too much for the first episode. I mean, like, if she did die, I could totally see that being why people like this game and they just don't talk about it. And it's like, oh yeah, that was a really bold thing, but they didn't do it too many other times in any other games or anything. But yeah, it does a little bit lower the stakes. Like immediately after this, you're hanging out with Snow, and
like nothing's changed.
Yeah. If you beat up the prisoner, Snow chides you for doing that, and she makes you feel bad about it, and I did.
Yeah, I did too. I felt bad. I was on my best behavior for like most of the game afterwards because I was like, "Ooh, I'm sorry."
Well, I think we talked about that too, because I remember saying, like, the reason I was sort of transitioning from, oh, Big B's kind of a rough guy, into, oh, maybe Big B can be a little bit more gentle than that, was because of the influence of Snow White. We talked about that in the first episode of this game.
Yeah.
So, like, in this scene, I'm thinking, yeah, she's gone. So I'm just gonna sort of do Big B stuff. And then she walks in the room and calls me an asshole.
She's like,
And that's completely deserved. She was gone for a second, and I got a lot worse.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. But at the same time, I didn't regret it. I was thinking, like, I could reset, but I didn't want to, because that felt right. Like, Big B's friend is dead. I feel like he would be in the right to be pissed off with this person who's not cooperating when Snow White's fucking head is on the ground without a body.
Oh, I wouldn't reset for any of these games. We're on such a schedule.
Yeah, but I just mean, like, because this was like a choice right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, like, do I want to be seen as this bad person? But I stuck with it because it just felt like the right thing to do. Like, I felt like Big B would really lose his temper. He'd be like, look, I'm not fucking around here anymore, Mr. Tweedle.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then I did feel that when she was like, what the fuck, Big B? That's not cool. And I was like, yeah, I guess it wasn't, was it?
Yeah, it's on me.
But at the same time, I do, like, it's like, I thought you were dead. I was losing my marbles here.
Yeah. Especially
I would maybe cut Big B a little slack.
When you're talking to her afterward, you have the option of saying, how aren't you dead? And Snow White says, I'm fine, I went home.
It's not even a thing, don't worry
about
it. It's like, you don't get to say that to me. I saw this head.
Yeah, so the trick here is that someone was glamored to look like Snow White. And they were killed. And you go through a lot of stuff to find out who it was, but it turns out it was Lily, Holly's sister.
Yeah, so this is why I asked how you felt about this, because when Snow White first showed up, I was kind of like, oh, well, that's a little deflating for this moment that I thought was this crazy thing they did. But as it went on, I was like, well, this just opens it up to a bigger mystery. So I was fine with it, but my first reaction was, man, you didn't stick with it. But I do think at the end of the day, it's for the best that Snow White wasn't actual, for real, headless.
What if Snow White looked like a troll and she just was Snow White and that's just what Snow White looked like? That'd be kind of weird if they made that creative decision.
What, like Snow White was a troll, but she used glamour to look how you've seen her? That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not how it
they
played
didn't do
out.
That. But... I guess it's more interesting that they don't, because now there's this like class system of, oh, if you're Snow White, if you're someone like that, it's a lot cheaper for you to live because you don't have to pay for glamour. You can just look like a person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after finding out, you like go to the wishing well, which is basically a weird morgue, where they toss all of their problems down this weird well that they can't see the bottom of.
If only we had that in real life. We could just toss our problems away.
Well, it's weird. You know what the thing this made me think of was? Is
what?
the alternate 1987 or alternate 1986 Back to the Future where Edna takes over. They have that like hole in the middle of the town that they throw all the shit in. Remember that?
I didn't at first, but I do now. Yeah, it's been a bit, but
someone at Telltale is interested in this idea of like, what if a town
big
just
holes?
throws everything in a hole that they don't want to think
about?
about?
What if a town just had a big hole?
I respect that. There are some like repeating just thematic ideas that I have a lot and that take over a lot of what I do that show up in different stuff I do. They're like, man, what if this town had this big hole?
What if there was this big hole in the town? You've been pitching this every game. We can't just have a hole in every town.
You've been pitching it every game, and we put it in 2 of them. We have to... you can't just keep doing it.
Why not?
Yeah, so it was like in the Back to the Future version, they threw like pornography and rock and roll music and sometimes guys in there. And it's where like you go down there and it's not bottomless or anything like this one is, but you go down there and it's like a warehouse full of contraband for bad kids where you fight Biff in I think like episode 4. But in this one, no one knows what's down there. You toss dead bodies down there, sometimes people that you just don't want to come back. Like the capital punishment in Fabletown is being thrown in the wishing well.
You're going in the hole.
If you're just too bad of a person, we'll throw you in the well.
Yeah.
So
that seems like overkill if you can't get them back out.
Yeah. I think that is the point. That's sort of
that doesn't sound great.
Just seems mean. But yeah, they're gonna like throw Lily's body in there when they're done. But they find enough evidence that they should go to this place called the Pudding and Pie, which is a strip club for fables.
Well, before we get there, something else happens. It's not like a huge part of the story, but it's enough. So the reason you find where Lily's body is because you question TJ, Mr. Toad's son.
I forgot about that.
The body in the pond. This is when I regretted my actions for burning Tweedledee's hand.
Yeah. Because it turns out they were watching you.
Yeah, they were watching you, and Mr. Toad hates me. I love Mr. Toad, and I was trying to be on his team the whole time, and now he's pissed at me, and I'm like, oh, man.
They were watching you through the magic mirror.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, the magic mirror feels OP.
Yeah, you can just see anyone anywhere. Well, we'll later find out that won't be a problem anymore.
Yeah, it's weird in a game that has no combat and no systems of any kind, really, for a character to feel OP, especially a non-playable one. But it does. Like, it feels way too centralizing to the story of what the game is.
Yeah, especially for like a detective case like this, when you can just ask, hey, where is this character at right now?
Yeah.
But I guess that's the thing, is you can only see where they're at right now, and there are rules to it. Like,
there's a lot of constraints on it.
Yeah, so I guess it's fine in its context. Like, you can't just see, like, you can't see, for example, like, what the woodsman did. You can't see, like, who did this, who killed this person. You can only see what this character is doing at that moment, it seems.
Yeah, like, if a character's walking down a street, you can see enough of the surroundings to know it's a street, but not which street. And that's, like, I'm not sure how that works out physically, but sure. At this point in my notes, I write, is murder really rare in Fabletown? Or do the elites just not notice?
That's a good point. That is a theme they bring up a lot in this episode.
Because they say in the first episode that they make it known of, like, it's really hard to kill a fable. It doesn't happen very often. These fables lived for centuries, like literally hundreds of years, just because they can't die of natural causes, and murder is hard. So in that first episode, you're led to believe, like, oh, a death? That's totally uncommon. But in this episode, people keep bringing up, like, hey, Lily was missing for weeks. No one did anything.
You
keep saying murder's rare in Fabletown, but you would have no idea. because it's not.
Yeah, is it though?
Yeah, it's no one's keeping track of it. Of like the real murders that are happening all the time. They're only keeping track of when someone notable or with money or whatever died.
Yeah, I do like that. I like that even though these are our protagonists, it's showing that they're not like perfect people.
Yeah, I mean, Bigby's the protagonist. The rest of them...
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Like, Snow
Yeah,
is still
Snow
like
is too.
alongside you. Yeah.
Yeah, and Snow has like a crisis of confidence in the first episode about how she's like her job is about preventing all of the little stuff in quotes from reaching Ichabod's desk, so he can focus on like high priority matters, which I don't know if like real city council people have a similar system, but I at one point in my life, I was very close to a member of the city council that I live in. And I don't know what he did for that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sure he had a secretary, and that secretary, like, organized his priorities. But I wonder, there probably is some amount of that is, like, required, and not all of it is... the system not working. Because sometimes people will just come in and say, like, it's a 45 speed limit here, and I want to go 50. And then you gotta go, like, well,
what are you gonna do about
it? To go faster and expect it to change. That's not...
I agree with you. I would also like to go 50, but that's just not how it's done.
We would all like to go 50. Yeah, I mean, oh man, the stories I could tell you about the stuff that I know they brought up with city council, they being just random members of the populace. If you've ever watched Parks and Rec and seen those like town hall meetings where someone goes like, I had a taco yesterday and it gave me food poisoning, and then they're like, yeah, but we're like the city. What do you want from us? It's not exaggeration. That is real. That happens all the time.
Man, I got food poisoning from a taco once, and it sucked.
But you wouldn't tell the mayor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like, I want to know what you're gonna do about it.
You would tell maybe a doctor, probably no one.
Yeah, I told my roommates, and I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm not feeling too great.
It does affect them the most. That makes sense. So, yeah, depending on how rough you were with a prisoner, TJ, Toad Jr., is a certain amount afraid of you. And then you also have an opportunity during that conversation to be nice or like demanding with TJ in order to get that more information out of him.
I was as nice as possible. Once
Yeah,
I saw
same.
that Mr. Toad himself was angry at me, I was like, I'm going to be on my best behavior for the rest of this game. This was a lesson for Bigby to be like, all right, maybe I won't let my anger just color my actions so bluntly.
Yeah, so you find out from him that well, he was just there when they dumped the body in the river.
Yeah, he was swimming.
Yes, and they probably did not see TJ in the water. So he's safe.
TJ had a funny line. He says, the lady fell in, but she didn't have her head on.
That is funny.
She left home without it yet again.
Okay, so skip ahead. So now we know stuff about Lily. She was a prostitute. She had glamour on to look like Snow White. She didn't have her head on. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She there was for some reason she was going to the Woodlands, which is again that building that Bigby and Snow and a lot of the Fables live in. It's just like one building where they all... I think Ichabod might live in it, too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, Lily was a prostitute working out of a strip club called the Pudding and Pie. So you go to the Pudding and Pie, and Dustin, you see naked women.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Whew. Oh boy. Wasn't ready.
I had to pull on my shirt collar, let some of the steam out.
Yeah. So
is this the first time we see nudity in a Telltale game? I think so.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
As far as I know, this might be the only game. Like, I can't say that. I haven't played the other games, but as far as I know, this is the only Telltale game to have nudity.
There's got to be some in Game of Thrones, right?
I would. Yeah, you're probably right.
But yeah, I certainly didn't expect that from this one. The most cartoony one they did for a while. I mean, it's not cartoony in tone at all, but yeah. You see Nerissa, a stripper, a fable stripper, who is...
Yeah, we find out she's the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I don't know if Disney invented the name Ariel.
That's what I was thinking. I had it in my notes, like, maybe that was something Disney made, and that's why they had to give her a different name. I think that checks out.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, so she's Nerissa, and, like, both her pimp and, like, the guy in charge of the strip club is Georgie Porgy.
Yeah.
I don't know his rhyme. I have heard the name. I don't know.
Want me to read the rhyme to you? I was actually looking it up earlier because, like, I knew it was a nursery rhyme, but, like, I didn't remember the, like, actual words.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. Once the page loads.
Okay.
So
it starts with silence.
The nursery... Yeah, you gotta build up to it. But it goes, Georgie Porgy, puddin' and pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. When the boys came out to play, Georgie Porgy ran away.
He kissed the girls and he makes them... Yeah, okay, so he's, like, even in the rhyme, he's sort of a womanizer.
Yeah, when I read that rhyme, I was like, wow, what a clever way to interpret that into this sort of gritty world.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, what came first? The idea, we should use Georgie Porgy. Oh, it'd be funny if he's like a strip club owner. And then they, like, built this leg of the story around it. Because it just fits really well. So you find out from him after giving him the old runaround, a very difficult bit of talking to.
I thought this part was very funny because since I've been trying to have Big B be a little more cool, a little more cool-headed, so he goes around to, like, everything in the strip club and is, like, threatening to break it, and every time it's like, break this or threaten to break it, and it was like 5 different things where he's like, I could break this. Goes to the next thing, I could break this.
You could break the entire place. And I didn't break any of it, and
same, but I love that it just gives you the option so many times.
Yeah, and you keep, like eventually a bat and then not hitting it, and every time eventually Georgie's convinced you will.
Yeah, I would think at some point Georgie would be like, all right, well, he's obviously just not going to do anything.
Well, as soon as he says that, I'm going to do it.
He just gets tired of you. He's like, all right, look.
And then I break it.
I'm sick of walking around. Yeah, then I'd be like, ooh, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, like his turntable, his fridge, his, like, the countertops. Like, I'm going to break him. I'm just going to hit him with a bat.
I would have laughed so hard if it, like, looped around. Like, eventually you had to break something, so you just go to everything. It's like, well, I'm going to go around once again.
Yeah, it's about picking the thing you want to break more than whether you do or don't.
How much do you care about this smoke machine?
So the information that you want to get from Georgie is, like, his timetables. Who was hiring Lily? When was she out? Where were they supposed to meet? And keep in mind, like, the strip club part of this is above board. The prostitution part is not. So he's trying to, like... It's obvious that he does this, but he's trying to maintain a facade of, like, no, we don't do prostitution. That's wild. I'm not a pimp. I just own a strip club. But he is and does both.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not my favorite. There's a part in this that made me feel, like, really bad, really sad. Is it's when you're talking to Nerissa, and you ask her what her name is, and I forget the exact wording, but I think she says, like, when I'm not on the clock, it's Narissa. And then he says, what about when you are? And she says, it's whatever they want it to be. And I was like, that sucks.
Yeah. But also, like, that's sort of a metaphor for, like, how at the will of their employment they are, but also a very literal thing, probably, because Lily was calling herself and looking like Snow White because someone wanted her to.
Yeah, that's true with the glamour. Yeah, we didn't even touch upon that. Like, well, we did a little, but the fact that black market glamour seems to be going around, because Lily's glamour was not perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't totally make her look 100% like Snow White. Her dress had, like, an extra button, other such things. Like, it didn't completely make her look identical to her, so it seemed faulty.
Yeah.
So, at least for now, you're under the assumption that there's black market glamour going around.
Yeah, there's, like, both Lily and Holly have this, like, floral tattoo around their, like, chest or ankle or something. And with their glamour on, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea of black market glamour is interesting because they do go out of their way to say it's not illegal. It can't be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's frowned upon, but...
Yeah, I don't really know what a good metaphor for that would be, but, like, you're supposed to think, like, well, it should be official, but the more you think about it, you're like, why should the government control something that these people basically need to live? If they can get it cheaper, they should. If it's a good enough glamour to fit into society so you don't have to hide away, you should do it. Like, why should we not be celebrating the black market glamour?
Yeah, like, the thing is, with this glamour, she wasn't, like, a perfect Snow White, but it was still good enough that she could pass for, like, a person. If you're not trying to look exactly like someone else, is that really going to be a problem?
Yeah, and like, the more you think about it, the more you're thinking, like, oh, you know what, the witches work out of that building in the government center. Maybe they're like lobbying for black market glamour to be made more frowned upon because they would make more money if everyone came specifically to them.
Yeah.
So it's a potential, like, corruption scheme and everything. Anyway, you find out there's this place nearby that I forget the name of. Do you remember the name of the hotel?
Oh.
The Open Arms or something?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. At the Open Arms Motel, yeah. So
you go to this motel once you, like, book a prostitute from this place. And that's like the way they do it. Narissa's trying to help you out, so technically you've booked her, but she doesn't show up because she knows, like, you just want to get in the hotel.
Yeah, she gives you the key to room 204, even though you need to get into room 207, but she doesn't have the key to 207, so she's like, look, this is as much as I can help you, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, you know that 207 was the room that a Mr. Jones, which is obviously a fake name, rented out Lily for the night when she was murdered. So you go there and you find the person working the front desk is none other than Beauty.
From off of Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, from off of episode 1 of The Wolf Among Us. Here in episode 2? Wow. What a crossover.
Small world. There, before you continue, there is another funny line I liked in here. When you have Bigby look at the soda machine, he kind of eyes it up and down, and then he says, those'll kill ya, and then he just takes a long drag on his cigarette.
That's good. Bigby's funny.
Yeah.
The first thing that you talk about when you see Beauty there is Beauty's like, oh, thank God you didn't tell Beast, if you didn't tell Beast. And I had the option here of saying, like, okay, this has been brought up like 3 times. I need to tell you I don't care. And Beauty goes, wow, I thought you were just being a good guy. I didn't realize you were so callous and didn't care. And I'm like, well, it's not like that either. It's just, it doesn't have to be interesting,
no reason.
Beauty.
Yeah, I have no reason to think it's interesting. You didn't tell me what this was all about.
Yeah, because the first one is like, she's just outside, and she says, can you not tell Beast about this? And you're like, yeah, okay, I won't. But like, if he asks, maybe, but even then probably not, because he said, but I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, when you get to this, I have written in my notes, Beauty, I do not care. Because she keeps thinking like, look, she's always at risk of someone telling Beast that she's working as the front desk person of a motel that is attached to prostitution, but she's not a prostitute.
Yeah, she's working there to make a little more money.
Yeah. I don't get not telling Beast about this.
I think it's... Well, I kind of get it after we see how Beast reacts to seeing her.
Beast reacts because he thinks she's a prostitute, but if she just said, I'm not, and then explained it, he'd be... Because after he realizes that she actually isn't, he's like, oh, okay. And then he's ashamed of acting out, but he's not angry anymore.
Yeah, but I just wonder if that's maybe a more common thing in their life. Maybe she just wanted to avoid that altogether.
Yeah, I mean, he is literally
because you see him like beast out. Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's because in his bio it makes a point to say like he can usually get by without glamour just fine. So maybe like they are low on money. Maybe she just wants to lower the chance of him going full Beast, like happening as little as possible because they can't afford the glamour.
In Bigby's bio, I didn't look too much at the bios this time. In Bigby's bio, do they ever say that he's on glamour and that's why he's not actually a wolf, or is he just always sort of in between man and wolf regularly?
I'm not sure. I'll have to read it again, because that is a good point. Because he never really mentions being on glamour ever, but that would be like a reason why he's not a wolf.
Yeah, because none of those stories are about werewolves. They're all about just regular wolves.
Yeah. So that's it. I would assume he is, but yeah, it's never really brought up.
Yeah, it's a little weird because he's I mean, if he has to be on glamour for his job, maybe he prioritizes that, but his apartment is so run down and shitty, and he like doesn't have enough food all the time, and he
probably can't afford it either. Yeah.
He can't afford it, but if he pays for it, then like how's he doing that? Anyway, maybe we find out more later. Or maybe that's like what the whole comic is about, and this is not about that specifically.
Yeah. I maybe he does buy it, and that's why he has to live in this shitty apartment, is just because he can't afford better, because he has to pay for the glamour.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. We'll see.
So Beast does show up, and
at the worst possible.
Yeah, a real like, oh, but I thought situation that I kind of hate.
What the hell? I do hate it, but I don't know. It did make me kind of like Beast a little more, because like this is a shitty situation. Just like listen to what's going on, but I do feel like it gives him some depth to make him like so because he used to be a beast. He used to be awful. So I wonder if he's just paranoid of losing Belle for that, and that's why he flipped out so hard.
Not technically Belle.
And yeah, Beauty. She's just called Beauty.
Yeah.
That might be another Disney thing, but yeah, I do hate situations like that a lot of the time, but I don't know why, but here it did kind of make me like Beast a little more, because you could tell he's not like a bad guy. You can tell he's like stressed out. You can tell he like really loves his wife.
Well, let's run through what actually happens. So Beauty and Bigby walk upstairs, and he has the key to room 204. So she's like, okay, here's the room. And then he's like, no, I need to get into room 207. And this is like a for some reason, a line to cross for her, where she suddenly feels very loyal to her job. And he's like trying to break into the room, and she wants him to stop because like she's gonna get into trouble. And then Beast shows up, sees the two of them together trying to get into a room, and assumes that Beauty is acting as a prostitute for Big B Wolf. And he just gets really mad and starts like getting aggressive and actually starts fighting you, at which point there is a quick time sort of battle between the two of them. But like it feels like that scene in Shrek that I hate so much. It's my least favorite part of Shrek, where Fiona overhears Donkey and Shrek saying,
"No, Shrek." Isn't it the opposite, where he hears them in the house and how she's saying like, "No one could ever love someone so ugly."
Yeah.
Shrek thinks they're talking about him.
Yeah, and it makes me like everyone in the real world, if ever put into this situation, would just say, "Wait, so what did you hear exactly?" No, that was, and then just clear it up immediately. It's one of those things. And
I agree, but I feel like it's a little more justified here because Belle has been very secretive with Beauty's been very secretive with Beast lately, and Beast is getting very paranoid about this. She didn't tell him that she's working this job, so like I kind of get seeing this and thinking, oh no, the worst is happening, because he had no reason to think she was working here. She never told him or implied it in any way. So I get it a little more than just like overhearing someone say something.
I'm not saying that him getting angry at first is like this. I'm saying that as soon as he does, the inability to just go, no, she works the front desk.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Okay, let me clear this up real quick. She works the front desk. This isn't the thing.
Well, I agree, but also at the same time, wouldn't that also be like an excuse? Like
they don't try. They don't try to say it. Like none of this is attempted. You'd say like, yeah, maybe they would say that as an excuse in order to get out of the situation, and then maybe Beast sees that as a lie. Maybe if that happens, that'd be something. But they don't try.
You're saying your problem is more with Beauty and Bigby not explaining the issue rather than Beast getting upset about it.
Yeah, like as soon as Beast says, "You're sleeping with my wife," or whatever he says, Bigby should just be like, "What? No, she works the front desk." And then like maybe there's still a fight.
Chill
maybe
out, dude.
Beast isn't cool with it, and maybe Beast assumes that's a lie. After that, that'd be fine. But like there's not even an attempt to like say, oh, no, you've clearly got the wrong idea. Let's just talk. Let me just explain the thing in one sentence, because it is a very one-sentence explanation. It's not like too long to explain in a fight. I can say it between punches.
Yeah, I get that. But, at the same time, Beauty didn't even want Beast to know she was even working there.
Yeah.
But I guess in turn, when he thinks you're sleeping with someone else, I guess it would be best to just come clean on what the thing is that's not nearly as bad.
So in the middle of the ruckus, Beast and Big B get thrown into the door of 207, and they see all the blood all over the room. And then Beast realizes, oh, he actually is here researching a mystery. My bad. The whole time.
Don't I feel foolish?
His animation is really good. He's like animated to be like, oh man, I really just fucked up, huh?
I like Beast a lot.
After this point,
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what he strikes me as like a doofus, but a doofus that like his heart really is in the right place. Like you meet some like scummy people, and Beast doesn't strike me as like a bad person. Which I like. So
you're looking all over this room. You found out through some of the stuff here that whoever was taking Lily out had a massive Snow White fetish. They dressed her up like Snow White. They glamored her to be Snow White, basically. And Beauty is like watching you find out all this stuff, and she's really grossed out about the whole affair.
Yeah, she's like, ew.
She is like, ew. And you find out that it was Ichabod. Ichabod was sleeping with Beauty, or not with Beauty, sorry. Ichabod was sleeping with Lily, glamored to look like Snow White, because he had a massive crush on his assistant, Snow White. And, he's just gross about it. He's like a gross little guy. And then you see Ichabod watching this, and he had, in anger, broken the magic mirror he was watching it through. So Magic Mirror's dead now.
Yeah, no need to... Well, I don't want to jump to conclusion, but what if they put him back together?
It is hard to kill a fable.
I would assume not. Yeah, they could just put him back together and it'll be like, oh, shit, that
This
sucks.
seems very dead for a fable. If you're a mirror breaking it. Then...
Yeah. That has to be the mirror equivalent of having your head cut off.
Yeah, it's like... that's in the same wheelhouse. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, so... Here's my thing. So, it seems pretty upfront that it's Ichabod, but what if it is someone just glamour... Well, I guess not, because you see him looking in the mirror. How would he get down there if it was just someone glamoured to look like Ichabod? But I don't know. Fool me once.
Sure.
I have my suspicions.
So
I don't think it's likely that it's not, but, that possibility's knocking around in my head.
I think that it is Ichabod who was sleeping with Lily, and was at least there when Lily was killed, but maybe, we just played through CSI, right? Like, I can't believe it's Ichabod now. Now I just know it's not Ichabod.
You've been conditioned to be like, okay, well, it's not the people they're saying it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a better game than CSI, but it's still clearly, it's the same company. Like, I don't trust you. I don't think it's Ichabod now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it could be. It could just be having Ichabod be this big bad. But yeah, I feel like I've played enough CSI. I know how these things work. I'm kind of a crime scene investigator.
Did you have the same feeling that, like, it can't be Ichabod because it looks like it's Ichabod?
Yeah, because, like, we have 3 more episodes to go. They're really gonna just tell you who did it now?
Well, yeah, that's true. It is episode 2 that just ended out of 5.
You know what's something about this episode? It's really short.
I did feel that it was quite short, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't necessarily mind. Like, I guess I'd rather they just tell the story they want to tell than, like, have needless things drag it out. But I did feel like, wow, it's over already.
Like an hour and a half,
Episode 1 felt longer, yeah. It's fine. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I looked at howlongtobeat.com, which I've grown to hate recently because it is filled with people that want to brag about beating games fast, and that's where their numbers come from.
It's like, very good.
It does seem like they're bragging. For whom? For no one. But, like...
Yeah, I'm not gonna email you and say, good job beating that game so fast. Man.
They can't admit to themselves that it took an hour and a half to beat a narrative game that takes a certain amount of time no matter what, like The Wolf Among Us. So they say an hour. Dude, it didn't take an hour. It took an hour and a half.
Yeah, maybe if you skip, like, all the dialogue. Wait, no, well, I don't think you can
who's
skip dialogue.
Playing this game like that? It's a dialogue game.
Yeah, what do you get out of speedrun?
Yeah, do you hope that if you skip all the dialogue, you get to the boss fights faster? Sorry, bro. That's not how this game works.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, it's like... Wow, good job. You pressed A lot.
Yeah, those platforming sections aren't coming, man. Anyway. Want to get into choices? Our percentage choices?
Yeah. I'd be down for
Only
that.
12.8, according to my version of the game, % accused Crane of not caring about Snow in that car.
Interesting. For me, it was you, and 21.4% of players sympathized with him.
Come on, game. That's so wild. You need to at least tell me why. Just tell me who. I don't know who I'm talking to, even. I don't like this. I don't like that the stats are so wrong.
I think it's neat. I think it's interesting seeing, like, the difference in player percentages between us.
It's interesting noting that the stats are so wrong once, but for every time we talk about it after that, I'm like, well, I kind of just wish I knew what the stats were.
You're just angry.
It would be more helpful for me to know what the stats are in order to think something is interesting.
It's going to get to the point where it's like, well, for me it was, and you'll just be like, shut up, just don't even tell me. I don't care.
62.4% persuaded Woody to talk.
Ooh, nice. For me, it was 54.6% of players forced him to talk.
Well, I think... I wrote down persuaded in my notes. It might have actually said forced. I might have changed that.
Yeah, I just took pictures of the choices so I could get, like, the exact...
91.9% let Snow White come to the Trip Trap. So that was... We didn't even talk about that. But we had to tell Holly that her sister was dead.
I liked that a lot. I thought it was nice seeing... like, these characters were so antagonistic in the first episode. Even Gren is, like... I don't want to say he's on your side in this episode, but he's definitely less combative. Mm-hmm. Like, Jack is in there. We totally missed that.
Jack Horner,
this asshole Jack is in there. And
little Jack Horner.
Gren is just like, Gren is like, shut up. Just shut up, man. I'm sick of you. Just let this happen, I guess. And, like, Holly is, like, a little upset, but she's like, oh, fuck you, Snow White. It should have been you, stupid.
Yeah, and but, Jack Horner is
she calms down.
Just the biggest dick ever. He's
being Mr. Jokey.
He's trying to, like, okay, so you want to have some time alone with Holly, and then you're like, yeah, I've got something important to tell her.
Okay.
Why don't you just tell us in front of the rest of the class? Like, because your fucking sister's dead, man.
I love your impression of him. That's not at all how he talks, but it so perfectly conveys his attitude.
That is how all of my impressions are. They definitely don't sound like the person.
Break out a Mr. Toad. I want to hear your Mr. Toad.
Oh, I'm Mr. Toad. I'm a nice guy, but I've got a little gruffness to me.
I love it. I love that. That's at least closer. That is the accent.
It's perfect. So you can choose to let Snow come or not.
I did like this. Yeah.
I let her come. Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's like not bringing Clementine in episode 4 of Walking Dead. It's like, why?
Yeah, someone's just gonna kill her while I'm not there.
Yeah, you could just. Why would you choose to have one less character to interact with?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's always dangerous to bring someone who can't always, like, fight for themselves to somewhere there might be fighting, but still, like, if I'm not there and there's a fight where I'm not, that's worse. It doesn't seem like that much of a choice. And that's maybe why 91% agreed with me on my version of the game.
Yeah, mine isn't that high, but it is still the majority. It's 75.2%.
I'm going to say that for Wolf Among Us, my version is probably more correct, I think, because I'm playing the PC Steam version of just the regular game.
Okay.
I think that the reason they're so off is because of not having cross-platform comparison, right?
Right, yeah.
So the version that has the most players, or is the most, like, regular version of the game, is probably the one that is statistically closer to, like, a real number.
I agree. I'm glad you clarified. It's just funny the way you worded it. It's like, I think I'm the right one. Sorry.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe I don't know how many people play this on PC compared to consoles. I think PC was more for this kind of game, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because
for the point and click ones, definitely. For the narrative ones, less so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, just because, like, Walking Dead was so big, maybe it was just more mainstream on, like, everything. Maybe it was more widespread.
69.9% of people, including myself, did not hit Georgie Porgy.
Holy shit, that's so different than my I also didn't hit Georgie, but for me, it was only 19.5%.
And the final major choice, I guess, is 77.8 didn't hit Beast a second time.
Wow. So I also didn't hit Beast, but it was only 42.1%. Wildly different, a lot of these choices.
So that's... I think I want to talk about the choices this episode. Not big ones. Like, letting Snow come to the Trip Trap didn't seem to matter. Not hitting Georgie Porgy, like, dude, who cares?
Yeah, no one likes Georgie. You would be right.
Didn't he hit Beast a second time? So, like, the first one doesn't matter, and you're trying to convince me the second one does? That doesn't mean anything, man. Persuaded the prisoner to talk is probably the biggest one, but that information was not particularly useful.
Yeah.
You don't even remember what it was.
I didn't think it was, like, important enough, because it was just immediately overshadowed by Snow White being alive.
Yeah, that's true. And then they played, like, the next time on The Wolf Among Us, which I don't remember much of, except for the fact that they, again, teased this, like, full wolfed out Bigby. They did that
I wonder if
that's
not even gonna... I wonder if that's not even gonna happen until, like, the last episode.
I hope it
they just
doesn't
do it
happen.
Next... Yeah.
Like, just every episode
It doesn't happen
says
at all.
next time he's for sure gonna roid out, and then doesn't.
And then it never happens. It's like, wow, good thing we were able to avoid that one.
Want to get into our main segments?
I guess while we're here.
How about Weekly Guy?
You know what? I'm giving it to Bigby this week just because I really liked that I thought differently about how to handle him with after the interrogation at the beginning. That really made me be like, I already talked about it earlier, but it was like, all right, I lost my temper here. That felt right at the time, but now I'm being chastised for it. Mr. Toad's so angry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be, and that it's not even his place to be angry. I think he's probably in the wrong for being so angry at me for this, but I feel bad about it all the same. So that made me play Bigby a lot nicer after that. And I just liked that. I liked seeing that. Even though it was my choices, I felt like it was right. It felt right for the character to lose your cool in one scene and then have Bigby kind of reflect upon that and be like, all right, well, I'm going to be a cool, chill dude. I'm not going to break this strip club stuff. I'm going to be nice, the little frog boy. Yeah, it really made an impression on me in this episode.
I wrote beauty, and I'm trying to think of why I said that.
Yeah, because you were just saying earlier, you were complaining about how she never really even brought it up that she was working here.
Yeah, I don't feel that way.
Go on.
The more I've thought about it, especially talking with you about it, I think my weekly guy is Ichabod.
Ooh.
I think Ichabod has just been shown as like a really sort of dynamic, fleshed out, definitely leaning toward villain currently. I really liked that conversation in the car with Ichabod.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the reveal of why he would be behind this, with him having the Snow White fetish, is not something I think I've seen before.
Yeah, you don't get a whole lot of people into that.
Yeah, Snow White's ugly, is what Dustin just said.
Ew.
No, just like the way that he is gross and mean to her before, and then he's like, oh, man, I miss her so much in the car, and you having the ability to call out his bullshit, like I really liked that. That was also my choice cut. I'll skip ahead to choice cut.
Ooh.
Accusing Crane of not caring was my choice cut for this episode.
That's awesome. That's a great one. My choice cut was just on torturing Tweedledee and making him talk or not, because that leads into my whole thing with Bigby. Yeah, some good stuff in this episode. Like you said, they're not the bigger choices. Mm-hmm. They're more the smaller ones, which is very interesting to me. I like that. I don't want to say it's lame that the bigger choices they kind of focus on really don't feel that big. maybe it's good. Maybe it is more interesting that it's the smaller things you don't really think about until like afterwards.
Golden moment. There was a boob in this episode.
At least one.
At least, actually, two.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a golden moment, man. Like it was
it's
so out of place. It caught me off guard.
I wouldn't say visible boobs are out of place in a strip club.
Okay, fair enough. But like, I didn't. Did you, as you realized you were walking into a strip club, did you think that would happen?
No, I didn't. I thought like it was during the day he went in, wasn't it?
It was like
wasn't.
before their main hours or whatever. But it seemed late.
Yeah, because he says they're closed.
Yeah, and maybe they're just closed to him or something.
Yeah. Well, no, because no one else is in there. I do think it's just them because the context is she's like rehearsing her show in front of Georgie. Uh-huh. So yeah, I'm guessing they're gonna like open up later. But yeah, you see whole boob here.
I was thrown back like that famous picture of that guy sitting in the sofa chair with the wind blasting from the television, blowing his hair back. You know the one?
Oh, I know the one.
I walked into that club and my neck got whiplash from being thrown back as hard as possible from seeing an whole boob in a video game. A real 2014 move.
Yeah. That's a good one. My golden moment was Snow White showing up alive.
That's a good one.
That one's okay too.
Can you stream this game? Does Twitch get mad at you?
I don't know, because I don't think nudity in video games is like only in this one. I would think you would be able to... It
doesn't come up that often.
Yeah, and even here it's only for like a little bit. And it's not like full gratuitous, full frontal.
No,
nudity.
Of course, and like it's tasteful in that like it's showing the corruption of this town.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's happening. But also, I don't think Twitch cares about thematic importance.
Yeah, I think they're just like, no, don't show.
Yeah, female presenting. In Tumblr's words.
Yeah, I guess it just makes I guess the context would just be if you have like a tattletale in your stream. Like if you're playing it for people and then someone watching is like, I'm telling you're streaming
Twitch.
The boob game. You're gonna be in so much trouble, Mr. Twitch. You're not gonna believe what Mitchell Farley Wolf is doing.
What I was saying about this is, to you. A couple weeks ago, you were thinking about like you were going to stream more on Twitch, and I recommended, well, why don't you do your research for Telling the Tale on Twitch, like for playing through the game? Why don't you do it where people can watch you? And then you said no, you didn't want to do it because you wanted to have the ability to stop and take notes and to really make it your own experience, which I totally get. But if you did do it,
yeah, maybe I would have gotten in trouble. I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I wouldn't be here talking. I would have been thrown in jail.
I get mad thinking about Twitch getting mad at a streamer for not knowing that this was going to come up, and then it just happens, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah,
now?
we don't. Yeah, we don't even know if that's how it would work. But now it's like, thanks, Twitch. Big ol' prude Twitch.
Yeah, I'm brought back to memories of childhood of being like 8 or 9 years old watching something on TV, and then the characters will like say something like a bad word or there's nudity or something that like I didn't know what was going to happen. And then my parents are like, Mitchell, are you really watching this? I'm like, I didn't write it. I
didn't know.
This was marketed to me like it was fine. I don't know.
They bamboozled me. I'm just as upset as you are.
I hate this just as much.
We gotta go down to City Hall.
Throw down the wishing well. Where we put all the things we don't want to think about anymore.
Like nudity.
Throwing the absence of clothes down the wishing well so you're always clothed.
That settles that problem.
Okay, well, that's episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us: Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah, I liked it overall. I was a little bummed that it was so short, but I had a good time with it. Lots of interesting things coming up to talk
We
about.
still had an hour and a half to talk about, so I guess it didn't need to be longer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll talk about episode 3 with you when we rejoin for telling the tale next week. And until then, see you later.
I can't wait. Goodbye.